Alright, hello, my name is Rory McCabe. I'm a co-owner at Alpine Land Information Services. I'd like to show you our first pilot project for a group of apps that we're creating called Visual Forester. This app itself is called Stand Designer, and it's pretty much modeled to be a direct replacement for the Forest Service SVS, and therefore it's similar in the fact that it's modeled on 4 acres and that you have a lot of the same controls that you find there. All right, so let's get started. So this is my main menu here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to start a new forest. This will bring me to the terrain select panel. We have a number of different terrains that show sort of different conditions, different water courses, steep mountains, roads, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to start with one of these static terrains right now, which is a fictitious terrain. But in the future, we already can do a custom terrain. In another video, I will show the process of loading in your own custom terrains. So we're going to do Switchback Mountain. You can select the season here. I'm going to go to fall. And this is our tree form. So this is a modifier that will make the form class of these trees generally more taller or more squatty and short. So we're going to stick with moderate right now, and we're going to go continue. All right, so now we are in the stand tool layout. This is your main menu. Right here you have your different stand tools. Right here is the stand table import. Right now we can import stand tables, stem maps, and tree lists. So those all come in with a standard CSV that you will be able to get from any of your data easily set up. So here we have some different stand tables. We have harvest trees, residual trees, and residuals over 20 years growth. So I'm going to select my harvest trees here. Here you can see the values over. Open that up. And here's what we're looking at. So here this shows our inventory. Here's the summary area, 189 trees per acre, 68.2 basal area per square foot, Scribner board feet of 8,137, biomass of 33, and 1,861 cubic feet. So if we look over here on this graph, we can see that the is broke up into different species. We have white fir in light green, Doug fir, ponderosa pine, incense cedar, just a little bit, and a generic hardwood. Oops, I just right-clicked. So if you right-click there, so you can just reset the graph. We'll deal with that stuff in a second. So here's my structure. These are like Photoshop layers. So you can apply different populations to different structures. You have a base layer, which is kind of like your working layer, where you would put different populations, test out how they look. Later on, you can then select those via greater than or equal to a certain dBH value, a certain species, inside a certain shape, and then you can actually move them over to these kind of finished layers. S1, S2, S3, S4, those are all for trees. G1 and G2 is for ground cover, and T1 and T2 is for any other objects. So you can dress up your scene with these. You can place boulders. You can place woody debris. You'd show your snags and like dead stands by using this. And the last one is border. And so we wanted to make sure that the usable area was clearly, like didn't go to the very edge of the map. And so your border is everything outside of these shapes here. And so this is an acre, 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 acre. And in the polygon panel here, these 1 acre polygons come in with every terrain. And they're all set up to be 1 acre. Later on, we will create our own polygons here, and you can save and load those lists out. So I'm going to turn these off for now. And these were my harvest trees, right? So I'm going to place these on S1. So if I go preview here, wait, sorry, first we got to deal with the distribution. You can do uniform, like even age planted stand, or you can do middle of the road between uniform and clumpy, and then you can do clumpy. I'm going to do clumpy for right now. Preview position. And here's our population. So you can see these clumps are looking pretty good. If you want to see so if you need to make an adjustment, you just do that and then preview the position again. Okay, so let's stick with that. And we've already made sure that these trees are going on the S1 structure. And now we're going to place. The first time you're placing a population, it has to open it from a bundle. So that's to help optimize memory usage, because we couldn't have every single tree species in memory all the time. So here is our result. So when you come in, the default view is like a first-person mode where you're walking around. And this is really nice that we have variable cruise calculators and all sorts of stuff. So this could be very helpful for people on the ground to get scale, to get the general scale of things. If I hit C, now I'm in drone mode. And again, WASD is moving me around. And then E and Q take you up and down. So now I'm also by default in free look mode, right? You don't see a cursor in this mode. You're not able to manipulate any trees in this mode. But you'll find that you use these tools a lot, tab and spacebar. Spacebar brings up my menu. When I do that, my free look changes. Now my cursor freely explores the screen. We can select different things. And if I still want to move, I hold right click and I can still move around. So you can still move around plenty in this mode. Also in drone mode, if you need to get to someplace fast, use the scroll wheel and it starts moving you like you're flying forward. Sometimes it's a little hard to control, but it helps you get places a lot faster. Another mode that we've just added, here's our camera modes if you forget the hotkeys. Everything that you need has an item in the menu bar, and most of them have their hotkeys present. So if I go change view here, so another mode that we have is orthographic mode, right? So this is a great way to view the structure of a stand. And once we have structure delineated on different structures here, you can toggle them on and off to see where the elements belong and what the relationship to each other is. I can go to the east view, the north view, and then I can also go top, which is, you can see canopy covers that way. So now I'm back in first person mode, and the last view that we just added is this real-time strategy mode. So this is kind of like a camera like Age of Empires or Civilization or SimCity or all those types of games. And so your scroll wheel will zoom you in and out, left click will pan around, and then right click will rotate. And this view is really great for getting an overview of the whole stand. So now that we understand how the views work, I'm going to go back into my full menu. So again, spacebar will toggle on and off the sidebar, giving you back full control. And Let me go back into drone mode here. And so spacebar toggles that on and off. And then if I hit tab, I bring up my half menu, right? Now if I want my full menu, I click here and it expands and I have my map and my polygon view, right? So again, this is how you control these is how you switch between different ways you place stand tools. If I click these buttons, it's relative. It changes this window down here, right? So I've got single object placement, multiple object placement, and this is the FVS link that you can actually, do scenarios and run them through time, and it works directly with FVS, and it's getting better all the time, but it already is pretty powerful. But we were importing stand tables, right? So let's stick with that. So I'm going to go back to stand table import. I'm going to go back to import my stand table again. And I think I was, example 2? Okay, example 2. So here is the next thing. So we want to do our residual trees here. So we're going to open that up. As you can see, we've got a different amount of different species. And this right here is quantity in TreeSbreaker. And this right here is DBH, the diameter breast height of the different trees. So as you can see, you have a lot of little guys that are 2 inches, and a little bit, up to 28 inches is just the residuals. Because obviously these are the residual trees, so they're harvesting all the big ones that are on the ground right now, and these are going to be the ones that get left behind. And so to show that, so right now, if I toggle off S1, those are my harvest trees. And I'm going to place these residual trees on S2. 199 TreeSbreaker there. Preview that position. And place. See, that one loaded a lot quicker because we already had this species composition that was pulled out of memory. All right, so let's go to the ground and check out our new density. I'm in drone mode right now. I'm going to get farther back. So here is the full stand. So this represents before any treatment is performed, right? So then I'm going to harvest the trees on S1. So I just, you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 associate to the structures there. So these are the trees that are going to get harvested, S1. So this is all residual trees that are going to be left behind. And I mean, if you were just looking at the basal area values that were going to taken off, maybe somebody would have been concerned about how this stand was left in tatters. Obviously, legally, you're not allowed to harvest stuff within this buffer, but we're gonna create a buffer later and just apply the harvest around the buffer area, and the buffer will stay completely natural to prevent erosion, especially on such a steep slope here, right? All right, so that's our first stand table import session. And now I'm going to go select another one here. And now these are the residuals after 20 years growth, right? So it's the same distribution of everything, except this is going to represent 20 years in the future. So we're going to put these on S3. Preview. And place. All right. So now we can show it very easily, right? Start out. Crews come in. You've got, this is what it looks like. This is what you're looking at on the ground. All right. Now, this is what it'll look like in 20 years. Today, in 20 years. And as you can see, these structures are a really powerful way to show silvicultures, to show growth, to show all sorts of things. And then, you can share these forest files, right? So any part of what you're creating here, that you're altering, that you're doing anything, you can just go in, share these files with another user or somebody you're working on a timber harvest plan or somebody with, and so you can send those stand tables over to him. If he doesn't know how to use it, you can just come in here, save the whole forest file itself. So each file starts with the name of the terrain that you did it on. You can obviously load them on different terrains, but then you're going to get some conflicts with other objects and stuff and other like exclusion type areas. So this is going to be example 2. Go ahead and save that. And right now there's really nothing to tell you like it's saved. We got to get some sort of notification that it's like save successful, because that drives me crazy. But I know, I've been using it for a while, that once these are graying out again, you can come back and it's saved. So, all right, so we've used the structures. We've showed stand before harvest, after harvest, and 20 years after, so 20 years of growth. Now, I would like to, sort of alter this run by creating a buffer around our stream area here. So, to do it, it'd be nice if I didn't have to see through these trees. So I'm just going to turn everything off. So now we're back to our base. So you can create a buffer from the map, or you could create it on the ground. I'm going to start with the ground first, and I'm going to bring up my polygon panel here, which you can toggle on and off with Z. And now these come with every terrain, as I said before. So if I look at that, there's 1 acre, right? So if I turn everything on, and now I just want to quantify what's in that acre, I can use the isolate feature, and now I just have that 1 acre, right? So now, toggle off these. There's our residual 20 years out. So you can save these, or you can delete them with the X. We're going to hold on to them, and we're just going to go add. And now once you get this little plus sign here, you're able to add stakes, or we call them stakes, and fences. They're just polygons to the ground. So I'm going to... Oh, actually, I'm not going to make a standard shape. I'm going to really, really buffer this, okay? As you can see, you have a tool here to create the buffer. So I'm going to put a stake there, stake there, stake there, stake there, stake there, all the way up. And it's hard to see from this altitude, but it is drawing a blue fence line that you can see when you're on the side of it through there. So I'm just going to run this right down the middle of the stream. All the way to the top. Alright, so now, instead of clicking finish, right, if I wanted to make a polygon, I would get it, just like a shapefile. You'd get it close around until you have a straight line or something back to here, and then you just hit finish, right? But since I'm using it as a line feature, I'm just going to go create buffer. I'm going to select the radius in feet. This is telling me how big the buffer area will end up being. So 50 feet is going to take up a lot of space, but I think, that is kind of the bare minimum. So we're going to go finish. And now we have our buffer area. So if I go back to my full menu here, this is my buffer, right? So now if I turn on S2, and now if I isolate just the stuff within the buffer here, then I'm good. But we are going to restart, and then I can relabel this buffer. And again, you can save these, you can save this list of fences, you know, as its own fence VF poly file, and then import these to wherever you want, right? So when you want, you can load up entire lists of fences. Again, they start with, or these VF poly files, they start with the name of the terrain they're on, and then I write how many, then it's whatever you want. But I would suggest leaving the name of the terrain because the units are obviously relative to the terrain. You know, they're built around the streams, they're built around the edges, they're built around, you know, how big you want each unit to be. So I could save this right now, but I'm not going to because it's not really done yet. So I'm going to go back to toggle it off here. And now I'm going to add a polygon from the map. So I'm going to run right along this edge here. And we don't have any commonality right now. That would be really nice. And we will be adding it in the future. We actually had it in our full Visual Forester app. But that's on a much bigger terrain. So it was really important in that app, but we just didn't think it was too great. So I'm putting this line right down the center of this road. And now I get close, and then I go finish. And now I have my unit here. So let's call this middle switchback unit. And this is only 0.34 acres, right? So now let's start again. And I want to show you another tool for setting up like a hypothetical forest for, you know, if you're teaching or anything like that, that, you know, if you don't have data to come in and work with. Most people do, but this is for maybe a college student or somebody who just wants to, you know, throw stuff out there and see what it looks like. So I'm going to go turn on all here, right? And now I go to my trash can up here, go to trees, and then I trash it. Oh, but look, see what happened there? I just trashed what was inside, because I have this selected as inside. I just trashed what was in my buffer and what was in my mid switchback, right? So if I would have selected outside here, it would have deleted all the trees outside. So you know what? I think I'm gonna stick with this. I kind of like how that worked out, even though it was a total accident. So as you can see, here's our buffer unit, and right now it looks like the absolute opposite of what a good, you know, forest manager would do. But we are gonna fix that. So I'm gonna hit Tab, and I'm going to use my other tool, and it's called Stand Table Development. So when you come into here, you have an empty pie chart here. And then you have a list of all the species that we got. And to keep this consistent, we're going to use the same species that we used that came from the stand tables. So we're going to do ponderosa pine, and then you click this up, and it goes up 2% at a time. Then we're going to select Doug fir. And we're going to select incense cedar. And do we have black oak in here? Yes, so you have some black oak coming through here. And we're going to do a lot more black oak because it is around, you know, the creek and stuff. And let's just do some white fir, just even though that's not really that realistic, but it happens. So now we're going to go build stand. Now, once you've clicked build stand, that just gave you the, you know, the relative amounts of trees that come in. So we start out, we have 164 trees per acre here. So we also are on the natural, you know, opposite J curve of species. We got a lot more tiny trees and a lot less big trees because they outcompete each other by this age. So we're gonna stick with we're gonna use our structures effectively here. And I'm gonna make these arrows can adjust your curve of your graph for a better starting position. So I'm gonna toggle this up. This is gonna throw things up 5. Hit this right arrow. Now I now have 0.13 0.26 trees per acre at the 72-inch class, right? And so I'm planting on like an area, I think it's like 1.3. And so I might get some of these, but I'm going to ramp it up just one more time just to make sure that we get some real big trees. Now, with left click, I can shave off this and I can click here. And now I'm really altering this curve here, right? I can get very custom here. But for separating them out on the structures, I do a very simple thing. So I reset the graph. I push this back up again. Now I'm going to break the largest DBH trees 70 to 45. And now I right click on this. So if you right click on a column, it removes the whole population. There, totally wiped out. Now, whatever side I right click on, next, it's going to wipe out everything all the way to the edge. So if I right click right here now, boom, all this is gone. But it's still not gone yet. Now you have to remove selected to update the summary here. So now we're looking at 23 trees per acre, right? And I'm going to put this on, well, I'm going to put it on base because we don't really know what we're doing with it yet. And now I'm going to preview position. Wow, that's a lot of big trees. Look at that. A lot of big trees. Okay, that's too many big trees. So I'm going to update this again. Now I'm going to left click here. And I'm going to click all the way here. And now I've shaved this off. Remove selected again. And now we're down to 18. All right, 18 trees. That's a little bit more manageable. Now I'm going to place vegetation. All right, now we got our big trees on there, right? So now that we've done that, now we're going to want to place our second largest trees, our crop trees. So I'm going to reset the graph. And I'm going to go to where I just cut them off. And I'm going to delete these guys. And I'm not going to add more trees in this time because there's plenty up here. Remove selected. And now I'm going to do 44 to 24. Even though this is kind of a big selection, like most of the trees end up in here. So I'm going to take out 23 and down. Remove selected. And don't forget, you don't want to put these ones on base because you won't be able to toggle them out, right? So we're already using S1, S2, and S3. But S3 is the residual trees, right? So I can use S3 for this guy too. So how about we stick with clumpy on this one? Now 41 trees per acre. Go into S3 with a clumpy distribution. Preview. There we go. Place. All right. So now we have our crop trees. So we're going to reset again now. Go to 24. Right click. Right click. That removes everything. Don't forget to remove the selected. And now we want 23 to 11. So now I'm going to remove 10 and down. So I don't know if these, these might not be the exact, values of how you rate small crop and crop trees, but this group is now going to be my small crop. Remove those. And I'm going to put this on S4. Preview. Place. All right, so there's our small crop. Now, I'm going to go to S1, reset, take everything out, and I'm going to preview and place. Now we got our little trees. All right, so we're done now. So let's see, let's do a little test. Base, we've got our big trees on base. We got our crop trees in the buffer on S1. Or wait, excuse me, these are small crop trees. Or wait, are they? Let's get down here. I already forgot because I'm mixing up my layers. You should, when you do this, correct, you handle the whole area all in one shot so you don't make this mistake. So S1 looks like it's our small, very small trees. S2 S3 is our crop trees. And S4 is our small crop trees. All right, so now you've learned how to use these structures, and you've also learned how to import a stand table. You've learned how to cut using the graph tool, and what I think is one of the most important thing is using structures, right? Base, S1, S2. So now you can toggle off all this stuff, and you could go into your different view mode here, and you get a really good look at it from far out, and you can see what's going on. So I usually mess up these tutorials if I go too long, and so I think I might be able to use this one. So I'm going to stop. I have tons more to show you, but I'm going to stop the tutorial right here and pick it up. So maybe I can finally get one of these under my belt. So thank you for listening, and hopefully in the next tutorial we'll go over like polishing our forest up, using the other types of imported data, the tree lists and the stem maps, and we'll go over to the small adjustments that you can make to your stand to really dial it in perfect to exactly the way you want it to look. All right, thanks.